the Wanbo T2 Ultra is mostly just Ultra in name, but there are still a few interesting features that I found worth showcasing. Stay tuned! Hi! Well, you've probably noticed, at least if you watch my videos, that I particularly like Wanbo projectors. And this sometimes started with the Wanbo T2 Max, which was a projector similar in size to this one, had full HD resolution, included Wi-Fi, Bluetooth and Android, so it had quite a lot of features. However, the brightness was not too strong, as it could reach 200 to 250 ANSI, which is not much. However, the features and size were such that it was definitely a recommended machine at the time. A lot of time has passed, much water has flowed down the Danube since then, and consumer demands have changed. The line also came out with many new projectors, and we've received a lot of new features. Now, automatic functions are almost every day, like automatic keystone correction, automatic focus, and obstacle avoidance. So, features that we couldn't have even expected a few years ago. The T2 Ultra is not left out either, which obviously wants to be the successor to the T2 Max, and somehow it does succeed, as the size, the weight, and the features essentially the same. If we look at the resolution, because this projector also has full HD resolution, but this projector now has 500 ANSI lumens instead of 250. This projector no longer has a lousy speaker. This projector no longer, its operating system is not a cheap Android, but rather an Android TV system, which this also means that it has a Widevine L1 certification. And it also means that all major streaming services are available on it. So this is a genuine projector now. I will of course go over the specifications, but first we'll unbox it, take a look from the outside, then come the specifications, and finally, as usual, I will tell you how it was to use the projector, since I've been using it for a few weeks now. So the unboxing, well, there's not much to focus on regarding the unboxing itself, since there aren't too many things in the box. The projector has a relatively simple remote control, and we get a power cable, and that's it. Essentially, we don't really need anything else. So why waste time with this? Let's rather look at how the projector looks from the outside. As you can see, this is quite a compact device, and that compactness means it has a small size and weighs about 1.5 kilograms, so it can even be carried around. There are a few things about this exterior that are definitely attention-grabbing. One of which is that this is Wanbo's first gimbal projector. Gimbal projectors, as we know, can be rotated and tilted in various directions, making them suitable for projecting onto the ceiling as well. Although I note it wasn't the most important thing for me, but rather that I don't need to use a tripod or any other solution to direct the angle to the right place, and I think that's incredibly good. And well, in my opinion, this might be one of the most important features of this projector. Looking at the exterior, you can see that the design has somewhat changed. The front panel has changed. There is no longer an air intake visible. They have hidden it behind the shiny front panel. You can somewhat see it inside. The intake opening is concealed. The entire front panel has gotten this shiny white coating, which I think looks really cool. One ongoing issue is that they do not provide a lens protector with this projector either. Typically, Wanbo projectors do not come with a protector for some reason, and I think this is quite a big mistake. It did not here either. However, we do have two sensors, cameras at the front of the projector, and these cameras are used to ensure that the automatic functions work. So with their help, the automatic keystone, automatic focus, and automatic obstacle avoidance will operate. If we turn the projector over, we also don't find too much on the bottom. Here we find a connector, an HDMI, a USB, a headphone jack, and we have an infrared connector. We have a power input. More precisely, we can bring in 220 here. We can bring it in with a shaver cable, which means that this projector has an internal power supply. There is a heat sink here and an air intake. On top, there is a subwoofer, And on both sides, we have two speakers. It's definitely important to mention that this is the Wanbo Mozart. First, this subwoofer solution arrived, which means there is an air chamber inside the projector. And the two small side speakers move the air in this chamber, pushing the center of this diaphragm, giving us somewhat of a bass sound. So this is a 2.1 system. We have a pair of stereo speakers, and we have the subwoofer membrane here in the middle. This is definitely a uniqueness since, as I mentioned, so far we only found this on the Mozart 1, which, however, is the manufacturer's premium projector. We won't find many controls, just one button on the top of the projector, which we can use to turn it on and off. Everything else can be controlled from the remote, which is relatively simple, but it's very important that it has dedicated buttons. Here, for the streaming apps, which is a very advantageous thing, I really like this. As I watch most of the movies through streaming now, I no longer download them. So that's why I really like these projectors that have Android TV. Streaming runs smoothly. There is Widevine L certification, so I can watch the projection in full HD. Now should come the part where I say what the machine can do, but I have already covered these. As I mentioned, the brightness is 500 ANSI, which is very important because its predecessor had only half that. And admittedly, that was a bit low. Okay, I've explained the specifications. Let's see how it looks. We've unpacked it. Now we can get into how it was to project with this machine. How it was. First and foremost, I must highlight that this machine's colors are surprisingly good. In the default settings, it needs some tuning, but once it's adjusted, you get very good colors, very good contrast, and the colors are beautiful and vibrant. However, I must also mention that with the calibrated colors, the 500 ANSI brightness will no longer remain 500 ANSI in opinion. I estimate it at around 400 based on visual observation. Unfortunately, I can't measure it. But due to the dynamics and contrast, it's definitely worth adjusting the colors. I think you'll get along just as well with 400 ANSI as with 500. However, the colors do enhance the viewing experience. So I suggest you do it as well. In one case, I would say don't worry about the colors, but instead push everything to the maximum, high brightness. Everything should be big if you can't completely darken the room. Because the thing is, this projector with 500 ANSI will look best if you darken the room properly. And if you can't darken it properly, then this brightness will be a little lacking for a proper cinema experience. If you can darken the room, you will get a really surprisingly good quality from it. In both image and sound. In the sound, as I mentioned, there's the subwoofer in the back, and these two small speakers. The projector is not too loud. A bit louder in my opinion than what the manufacturer states. But this fan noise is a very steady humming. It doesn't change its speed. The sound doesn't change. It doesn't grind, crack, or click. So it has no extra noise. And thus, while watching a movie, the speaker's sound perfectly masks the noise of the fan.
Oh wow.
This is the new person. Except in one case. For example, if you want to project onto the ceiling in the bedroom at night, I tried it. Obviously, I had to lower the volume somewhat because the family was already asleep, and I watched the movie like that. And when I turned down the sound, the fan noise was also audible. So this device is not too good for that. It's not perfect. However, it's definitely important to mention that the projection on the ceiling was perfect, since the keystone correction can be adjusted within a very wide range, not only horizontally, but also vertically. So you can position the projector in many different places and still straighten the edges. What is very good about it is that with this projector, obstacle avoidance works properly. This is really great because many projectors are already equipped with obstacle avoidance. This means, for example, when, let's say, if there's a clock on the wall or a picture or anything, the projector detects it and adjusts the image, placing it to the right, left, or somewhere so that this obstacle is not in the projected image. So, in the case of the Wanbo T2 Ultra, this obstacle avoidance works really well, And this is definitely a positive, because the function is not just on paper, but actually works. I also find it important to mention, I haven't said yet, that on the base we find that little thread, which they tend to put these on projectors. Since they have a small weight, you can screw them onto a relatively simple tripod. And if you screw them onto a simple tripod, then you can set it up quite well, even so that it projects in the center of the screen. Because with LCD projectors, there is still the problem that if you have to adjust the keystone correction very sharply, then there is usually some distortion at the edges and corners, and a little loss of brightness. So every LCD projector projects perfectly if you project from exactly in front, at the center of the screen. The question is whether it's worth buying this projector, and I think definitely yes, because its price is under 80,000 forints, and its features and capabilities are truly excellent. And of course, its capabilities are very similar to the top projector, the Mozart one, because we get the subwoofer, we get the Android TV system, we get the Widevine L1 certification. So basically, the features are the same as with the Mozart. And we also get these automatic services that work great on the Mozart. And now they really work great on this cheap projector as well. So if you want a projector that can even project onto the ceiling if there's no other way, if you want a projector that fundamentally has good sound, not super good, but good sound, and if you want a projector that, well, not in the light, yeah, but in complete darkness, it produces an almost perfect picture. So I can warmly recommend Wanbo's new projector, the T2 Ultra. Under the video on YouTube, you will find the link that leads to the purchase. Plus, I'll provide the coupon code with which you can buy it for under 80,000 forints. If you liked it, definitely read my written article. I'll also put its link under the video on YouTube. Click on it. Check it out. This is the video. This is the test. Take care of yourselves. Be good. And I will come back with another test. Until then, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks. Bye.